No ending, very little story, not a lot to go on. But look what I can do. So this episode is probably going to be a little bit shorter, if for no other reason than I'm a little upset. There wasn't a whole lot to go on in this episode, and I know Twitter's already talking about a lot of different details, and I suspect my Easter egg video will be a little bit thicker, given how many different things happened in this episode on a small scale. There were a lot of really good small moments, but I'm hoping that Marvel, they're going to have to redeem themselves. I don't know if it was the plot or the story, or maybe just I'm angry at the method in which we're getting this story, given that it's episodes instead of a movie. And we had to cut this one short right where things were getting good. We got some details about the TVA, one big one in particular, which is really all we're going to spend our time talking about. But not a lot other than that. I kind of left this episode just thinking one thing in particular.
Another!
Other than that, there wasn't a lot to go on here. I assumed there was going to be, again, a lot of dialogue because the first two episodes have been very dialogue heavy. In addition, I thought if you watch our prediction video from last week, there was going to be, if there wasn't going to be a lot of dialogue heavy, there was going to be a lot of battle. Sylvie was going to get into the TVA, or she was going somewhere and they were going to have to battle. We got a little bit of that at the beginning, and then things kind of took a turn, which is fine. I'm okay with switching plot devices and switching locations, and I thought the addition of this random planet near Kree space, and we'll talk about that in an Easter egg video or later, but this planet of Lamentus 1, which everybody thought was Vormir, was an interesting little twist to say, oh, well, we're not going where we thought we were. That's great, but the episode started out so great, showing Sylvie and Hunter C-20 in this illusion area, and you were getting a little bit of timeline information, even though that's not what they were going for. You're inside of Sylvie's enchantment, but at the same time, she's making a metaphor with a brain freeze, and then time kind of changes. I think these things were a little bit of foreshadowing for us as the audience of things that are going to happen later. And then when Sylvie gives the big reveal to Loki, I'm assuming it's true that the TVA is made up of variants, which makes a lot of sense, and we'll dive into that here in a second. The foreshadowing at the beginning and the things inside of C-20's mind made a little more sense, and it was an interesting connection there. However, everything in between, probably because they didn't make it off the planet, probably because they're stuck, made me feel stuck as a viewer. That episode needed to be longer, or it needed to have something more to it. But the character development for Loki, in that, he gets his daggers back. He gets to explore a little bit of the relationship with his mother and talk about the different magic that he learned and the different skills that he had. Those are some really interesting moments, not to mention his drunken moment where he's singing. And if anybody out there knows what he's singing, how he's singing it, I would love to know that. If I have a chance to dive into that into an Easter egg video or some other research later on, I'll definitely post something about it. But those are some interesting moments, and those are exciting to watch as well. But there was a plan, and they get thrown off the train, and then there's a plan, and the arc gets blown up, and it didn't feel like we got a whole lot. And then we're gonna have to wait till next week. When the episode ended, it was kind of like watching my favorite toy break. I thought, what? Nothing happened. That was it. Where are we? How are we gonna? What? If for no other reason than I thought, well, we're gonna be stuck on this planet again next week because they have to get off it somehow, right? Like the timekeepers come for them. what's gonna happen? So as far as viewability, watchability for just this episode, it was very frustrating, but I guess for next episode, it gives you something to look forward to. But with 4, 5, and 6, the only episodes left, they're gonna have to do a lot of heavy lifting in these last 3 episodes to come up with some kind of resolution to explain what's going on here. A couple of little things to note. At the beginning and the end, the episode starts out way different. The Marvel intro starts off immediately. There's some different music, and the music had a little bit of foreshadowing to it. The music at the end was not the Loki theme, it was something different. And so they're doing some things here that I suspect are going to pay off later or going to have some kind of significance later. But it was obvious that they were doing something different in this episode. Again, the visuals in this episode were very, very stunning. The moon crashing into this planet, the train, the ark, the town surrounding all this was very, very visually stunning, and it gave me a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, the Sakaar type vibes from Thor Ragnarok, especially the different language that was written on a lot of the walls. It actually reminded me of Star-Lord's shirt in Guardians of the Galaxy, especially Guardians 2, and I'm going to try to dive into that later, see if maybe it's something that can be translated or something that has some significance someplace. So there's a lot of potential for Easter eggs here, and we're definitely, because of things we've seen in the trailer, we're gonna get more shots in on this planet of Lamentus, but what that means and where they're gonna go from here is anybody's guess. A couple of things that I wanted to touch on, especially when it comes to the big reveal that Sylvie makes to Loki, and they're just kind of walking and it just happens, and Loki, I had the same reaction he did. Wait, what? You know, the conversation about her magic and how she does what she does, which is really impressive to Loki, and he doesn't know how to do that. He was spot on when he said, "You can't control my mind because I'm too strong." I thought he was kind of being braggadocious there, but he was actually telling the truth. And she confirms it when she says, "Look, some people's minds I can just grab hold of, and some it's more complex. You have to create an illusion based on their memory." And she explains how she did that with the timekeeper. She had to pull a memory from several hundred years before, which was my first oh wow moment, was that, oh, she's several hundred years old. You know, Mobius makes a comment in the first episode that time moves different in the TVA. Maybe that's a true thing. Maybe they are outside of time and space. Sylvie seems to think so, and the TemPad creates an interdimensional doorway. So they are in a different dimension. They are outside of time and space, and those kind of things would track with stuff that we've heard in Doctor Strange, and also stuff that we've learned thus far about the timeline. But who the timekeepers are, why Sylvie is going after them, if Sylvie is to be believed, then the TVA or the timekeepers are holding people hostage in the form of variants and perhaps wiping their minds. This would explain the rings on the coffee table in Ravona's office and Mobius not remembering being in there, why he's not allowed to keep his own trophies. Things like that start to add up a little bit, but there's still a lot of unexplained things there. So that was a very exciting reveal, but again, there's something bigger there, not just Sylvie's plan, which I think Loki is going to fit heavily into now. I think there was enough conversation there and enough chemistry between the two of them. He's going to end up pairing up with her, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mobius does as well whenever he finds out that the TVA has been manipulating them. But to what end and why and who's pulling the strings behind that is going to be really interesting. It seems like a lot to talk about, and it seems like a lot to be interested in, but for a 40-minute episode, this one little thing, it's impressive that it was given to us there, and it was something that made us want to go back and watch the other episodes, but it was also kind of frustrating that it was the only little plot device that moved us forward. Everything else just felt stuck on this planet. I really can't wait for the next episode because I need some resolution. And there wasn't a lot to go on here. There were several little things that, again, teased things that might be coming or things about Sylvie's character. You know, Loki knows who his mother is and he knew things about her, but he didn't know he was adopted until quite a ways into his life. Sylvie apparently knew from the get-go she was adopted, but didn't know her mother. So how did she become a variant? How did she, was she an orphan? And how did the TVA come after her? How does she know who the TVA is and why she has some vendetta against them? I think we've got to get more backstory on her, and hopefully that's going to happen again in the next episode or two. If they're looking to resolve this, it almost seems like the last 3 episodes are going to have to be phenomenal. And if I was already rating the episodes, this would be probably my least favorite episode thus far, if for no other reason than it just didn't go anywhere. And they gave you a few little blips, but it started off exciting, and the battle and then them getting stuck on this planet, and they kind of had a plan, and now they don't. And so now they've got to get rescued, but how is that going to happen, and what does that mean moving forward? But it didn't really give us much in the form of, oh, this happened and that happened, and we got to do this and we got to do that. Because this was an apocalypse event, I wasn't really concerned with it. I wasn't really invested in this place or this timeline, which I guess is kind of a side problem to have whenever you're bouncing through time and bouncing through variations in time. I wasn't really invested in it. I didn't really worry about the people because I knew it didn't really matter, right? We know they're gonna die. We know that our characters have to get off this planet somehow, so they're gonna get saved, but how? These other people are gonna die. I don't really need to care about them very much. And we got a lot of dialogue heavy, so we just changed venues, really. Tell us what you guys think. Again, doing a lot of these reviews, I'm now 30 or 40 videos in here. This is the first time I've come on and been really upset with what I've watched. I think it was shot well. I think the dialogue was fantastic. I think it was visually stunning, but it was one of the weaker episodes in terms of plot and just getting me excited about the show. It kind of knocked the wind out of me for a second. Things felt a little stalled. So if you guys saw something I didn't, or maybe you just give me a little bit of encouragement here, I would love to hear it. Love to see your thoughts. Comment on it. Hit the like button. Subscribe to our channel if you're not subscribed, and hit the notification button so whenever we drop new content, you'll be the first to know about it. Other than that, if you are subscribed already, share the video so that we can get the word out and other people can be a part of the conversation in our community here. Other than that, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.